Hello everybody, welcome back to the NFL predictions. Today, NFL Week 2 predictions. First up, I have the 49ers beating the Giants. The Giants almost got blown out twice, but somehow the Giants made a huge second half comeback against the Cardinals. But I still think the 49ers are a much better team than the Giants. Next up, I have the Lions beating the Falcons. The Falcons have had 2 good wins so far, but I think the Lions still have a better roster than them, and I think the Lions will win. Next up, I have the Vikings beating the Chargers. Both of these teams are 0-2 so far, but since Joey Bosa's injured, I think the Vikings will win. Next up, I have the Saints beating the Packers, and the Saints have a really good defense, and I think that will shine against Jordan Love and the Packers. Next up, I have the Jaguars beating the Texans. The Texans are a pretty bad team, and the Jaguars are a mediocre team, and I think the Jaguars will just win this because they're a better team. Next up, I have the Dolphins beating the Broncos. The Broncos have had some pretty good games, pretty close games, but the Dolphins have been really surprising this season, and I think the Dolphins will continue their wins on to Week 3 against the Broncos. Next up, I have the Browns beating the Titans. The Browns just have a much better roster, even without Nick Chubb, and I think that will win them the game. Next up, I have the Bills beating the Commanders, and the Bills are just a much better team with much better players than the Commanders, so I think the Bills will win this one. I think the Ravens will beat the Colts, even though some of the Ravens players are out. I still think the Ravens can win this one. Next up, I have the Patriots beating the Jets. Zach Wilson didn't look good against the Cowboys, throwing a few picks, and I think the Patriots have an easy win. Next up, I have the Seahawks beating the Panthers. The Seahawks just had an overtime win against the Lions, and I think the Panthers have no match against the Seahawks in this one. Next up, I have the Chiefs beating the Bears. Again, I think that the Chiefs are just a way better team than the Bears. They have Patrick Mahomes, they have Travis Kelce, they have all the players, and the Bears haven't looked too good over the past 2 weeks. Next up, I have the Cowboys beating the Cardinals. The Cowboys shut out the Giants in Week 1 and played well against the Jets. And the Cardinals are not that good of a team, and I think the Cowboys just have a way better team than the Cardinals, and the Cowboys will win this one. Next up, I have the Raiders beating the Steelers. And even though the Steelers should have a good defense, I think that Davante Adams will still be himself in this game, and the Raiders will win this. Next up, I have the Bengals beating the Rams. Joe Burrow might be injured, and if Joe Burrow is injured, then the Rams will probably win. But I'm still going with the Bengals because Joe Burrow's probably going to be playing this game. Next up, I have the Eagles beating the Buccaneers. Both of these teams has had a great start to their season so far, but the Eagles are just a way better team. They made the Super Bowl, and I think they will win against the Buccaneers. Thanks everybody for watching today's video, and like and subscribe for more.